them in place. They keep us in chains. By show of hands, who else is sick and tired of the same 1%? Trying to keep us small, trying to keep us from getting out. Minimizing the struggles they've caused, saying we're not working hard enough.
Ladies and gentlemen, for the thousands in attendance and for the millions watching at home, DCK Productions proudly brings to you the greatest podcast in the world! The greatest podcast in the world? Suck it. No, you suck it. No, you suck it. No, you suck it. No, you suck it. I appreciate it if you both suck it. Suck it!
We really should stop this fighting. Otherwise we'll miss the fireworks.
There won't be any fireworks.
And here we go. And welcome everybody to Suck It. I am the great and powerful King of Kings, Prince of all. That is awesome. Derek, how is everybody this evening? It is a Friday. Oh, what a day it is. Friday. I love Fridays, don't you? Just one of those things, you know, keeps us on our toes. And we can enjoy the weekend, get drunk. I know I am. But, you know, that's not why we're here tonight. We're here to talk, you know, movies and music and fun. Just because that's what we do here on this podcast, on this talk show, on this. I don't even know what I am anymore. I just know that it's awesome and I enjoy what I do. And I get to meet and talk to a lot of freaking cool people, especially tonight. But before we get into tonight, to everyone that's listening or watching out in Florida, please make sure you're hunkered down. Please make sure you're safe. It looks like Isaiah is going to be hitting you guys in the Miami area somewhere around 8 o'clock tomorrow night, about 24 hours from now ish. So please be safe. My heart goes out to you guys. I hope it's not it's a huge storm. But I hope it's not too bad of a storm and you guys survive it well, especially my daughter, because my 9-year-old is in right above West Palm Beach, down there with her grandparents right now. So I'm hoping that, you know, my father-in-law, my mother-in-law take care of my daughter. Otherwise, you know, I'll have to beat up my 65-year-old grandfather. I mean, my 65-year-old father-in-law, which won't be cool. I won't be nice, but I will. Don, if you're watching, I'm coming for you, buddy. But anyway, aside from that, like I said, guys, just be safe, be careful. I have a lot of family and friends down in Florida, and just be careful. I know how it is. Was there for 20 some years, but now I'm in Virginia. Now I get, you know, the remnants of what you guys get. So be safe. But we're not here to talk about doom and gloom. We're here to talk about fun stuff, aren't we? Yes. So tonight, my guest is a movie director that wrote a book in the 90s, now is making it into a movie called Starting at Zero. He was also the director of the movie that just completely slipped my mind about. I'm having a bad moment here. I apologize. Directed the first movie about Jimi Hendrix experience. There you go. Back in the 60s. And now he's coming out with another movie in September, again, based on that novel, Starting at Zero. So I'm extraordinarily excited to have him on the air with me today. So please, without any further ado and without any further mistakes on my part, please welcome to the show, all the way from England, Mr. Peter Neal. How are you today, sir?
Hi, I'm fine. It's an early morning start for me.
Yeah, that's 1 a.m. over there. So yeah, I can definitely understand that.
Yeah.
I appreciate you either getting up early or going to bed late for me. I do appreciate it.
I don't know which it is, but I'm here anyway.
Well, then I'm going to try to keep the conversation stimulating as possible to make sure I keep you awake.
Good.
So, first off, you directed the movie Experience back in 1967, I believe it was.
That's right. Yeah, 67.
So first off, how did you get mixed up with Jimmy, and what led to that movie?
Well, circumstances, serendipity, a stroke of luck. I was making another film at the time in Soho, and this guy came charging into my cutting room, and he said, "You've got to come with me right now, because this is an amazing guitarist is going to be giving a concert at the Albert Hall, and he's tuning up right now." He dragged me into a taxi, took me to the Albert Hall, and there was Jimmy on stage tuning up. And in the front row were Clapton and Townsend and Jeff Beck. I can't remember exactly, but the kind of cream of the British guitarists were sitting there with their mouth dropping open at this guy. And my mouth dropped open. And then this friend of mine who ended up producing the film said, "We have to film this guy because he's not going to be with us for long." And I remember those words to this day. I mean, how prescient was that?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of karmatic, if you ask me.
Yeah, well, I mean, he turned out to be right. But I mean, he described Jimmy as a shooting star who's going to burn out.
Yeah.
And which turned out to be kind of somewhat true. But we didn't have any money. We didn't have any setup to do it. So we borrowed £1,000, and I called in some friends, cameramen and sound recordists, and we all bundled ourselves up to Blackpool, where Jimmy was giving a performance with a package tour. He'd just come back from Monterey, so he was already kind of a big thing. So it was a package tour. In those days, they used to have like 5 or 6 bands on, and each band had 10 minutes, and Jimmy had 20 minutes at the end. And they did 2 shows a night. So it was absolute chaos at the Blackpool Opera House. And it didn't help that both my cameramen said there's not enough light to film. And the sound recorder said, "I can't record this." But we managed to actually capture that on film, and that started the whole film, because we then went and did other things with Jimmy, interviewed him, did a session at a photographic studio, because he was kind of being marketed as the wild man of Borneo, this frightening figure. You wouldn't want your daughter to go out with this guy, kind of thing, which was so far from the truth. If you knew Jimmy, he wasn't that wild man of Borneo at all. He was a real gentleman, actually. Anyway, the film was sort of cobbled together from all that. I borrowed space in the cutting room and cut it on weekends and things. And Jimmy used to come in and look at stuff, because he hadn't been involved in a film that intimately before. So it was really quite an extraordinary experience, and it's all down to serendipity, being there at the right time, at the right place. Very lucky, really.
So that first time that you met Jimmy, the first time you shook his hand, what went through your head?
Well, I mean, the thing about Jimmy was he was incredibly charismatic. I've heard people talk about Robert Johnson in the same way, that you'd be in a room and the atmosphere would change because Robert Johnson had walked in. And that was kind of like it was with Jimmy. When he was in the room, he kind of lit things up. And the first thing I noticed about him was this extraordinary voice he had, that kind of seemed to come from deep inside him, yet it was quite light in a way. So, a lot of kind of impressions at first about him. I mean, walking through London to go to this photographic studio with him. I mean, it was extraordinary because he's, like this peacock, and London was pretty grey in those days. And you kind of, the thing was, nobody kind of made any scene about it. It was like, okay,
Yeah.
Nobody kind of showed any kind of amazement. I suppose London was pretty multicultural at the time, really. But I mean, he was an extraordinary figure. He cut an extraordinary figure. But I think during the filming, what really struck me about him was how modest he was. He was in some ways, he was quite talking with friends and things, because he was a very funny guy as well. But I remember when we did our session with the 12 string, and he just brought out Axis. It was the newest thing on the market, Axis Boulders Love, and I was trying to compliment him on it because I just thought it was an amazing record. And he kind of shrugged it off. He said, "Oh, it's not what I meant at all. It wasn't, it wasn't what I wanted it to be." I suppose it's like all, traditional blues singer, which is that, I can't really play what I hear in my head. That kind of attitude. He had some perfection in his head, and he was always looking for that perfection. So nothing he ever recorded was right as far as he was concerned.
I got you. No, I mean that's a lot. That's a lot of musicians, to be honest.
Oh,
I mean, yeah. I mean, they never think they produce good stuff, but they just listen to what everybody else says and then put it out.
Yeah.
You said Jimmy was a modest guy. Do you believe it was the fame that killed him because of that?
No, I don't think that had too much to do with it. I think he was taken over by managers, by hangers-on, Kathy Etchingham, who was his girlfriend for a long time in England, but gave up in the end, said it was like a circus. She described it as a circus. In fact, Noel Redding described it as a circus. He hated it all. And Jimmy could never say no. So if he was on his way to the studio and the cab driver happened to mention he played bongos, Jimmy'd say, "Well, come on in and let's have a jam session." So he was always very used by people. He couldn't say no to people. There was no one there to turn people away and say, "Look, you lot, get out of the studio." I mean, Chaz was good. When Chaz was there, it was fine because he was a big guy and he could command a presence and he'd throw people out. But left to his own, Jimmy would just be absorbed by this mass of people who wanted something from him, vampires, leeches. And I think that's what got him to a certain extent in the end. He got into some bad company. He got into dangerous areas, really dangerous areas. It was that confusion that arose out of that, I think. And also the fact that his management at that point, when Chaz left and he was left with Mike Jeffrey, they were constantly pushing him to make money because he was their meal ticket,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And he didn't want to do that. He wanted to learn how to write music properly because he never had a schooling in music in that sense. He developed his own method of writing music down, which was pretty extraordinary. I mean, it was quite a visual method of writing, but he wanted to learn, how you write music traditionally.
Yeah.
And he wanted to learn how to work with a big band and things like that. And he was never given the space to do these things. Plus, they kept him poor. They kept him on a shoestring all the time. Even though he was by 69, he was probably the highest paid band in the business.
Oh wow!
He got something like 1% of his record royalties.
Wow!
He got more of his performances, but they designed his tours like he had to go from one side of the country. He was going from the East Coast of America to the West Coast, to Canada, to the South, and playing every night in different places, but paying for that himself. He paid for all the expenses. So
wow.
I think to a certain extent, you know, he was kind of robbed by the management.
Yeah, I'd say so. Holy shit, I didn't realize. Damn, that's pretty deep.
Yeah, he got to the point where he wanted to get rid of all of them and set up again and get more control over the accountants but of course he never got that chance because he died unfortunately before he could get rid of everybody. So he knew which way to go and what he needed to do, but he just never achieved it. I mean, as long as he had you have to understand Jimmy wasn't interested in money.
Yeah.
Other than, you know, having some to buy a guitar or to eat or to travel around in, do things he wanted to do. He wasn't interested in becoming mega wealthy or having, you know, villas and houses everywhere. It didn't concern him at all. What he really wanted to do was be allowed to play the music he wanted to play. And towards the end of his career, he wasn't really being allowed to do that. And I think that kind of partially destroyed him to some extent.
I definitely agree with you on that. Because I believe, and you might see this differently because obviously you knew him and you were around back then. Do you think that his popularity exceeded his life? Like, what I mean by that is, do you think that he has gotten more popular since his death than he was back then?
Well, yes. In fact, he said as much. He said they only love you when you've died, after you're dead and gone. And yeah, I mean, Jimmy's never gone away, has he? He's been with us for 50 years since his death. I mean, if you listen to any kind of music, whether it's funk or rap or heavy metal or whatever you look at, you can see Jimi Hendrix. He's still there. I mean, his influences were so widespread.
Yeah,
you know, he was there at the birth of rap with the Lost Poets.
Yeah,
the Last Poets. Sorry.
Yeah, exactly. What I find interesting is the fact that, you know, I see that exact same thing. I think that he's definitely gotten more popular since his death. And one of the things that shocked me was on Wednesday night, I had a band on that was doing a live performance, a local unsigned band here up in Maryland. And one of the guys was showing off his tattoos. The bass player was showing off one of his tattoos. Mm-hmm. Kid's maybe 19, 20 years old. Mm-hmm. And he's got a full portrait of Jimmy on his back as a tattoo. This kid's 19, 20 years old. And I mean, to have somebody that's been dead for as long as he has, what, close to 50 years, 50 you know? Yeah. To have somebody that's still like that powerful in the music business is amazing to me.
Yeah, well, I have a journalist friend who was interviewing Bob Marley's nephew the other day, and he asked him, "Who's your favorite musician?" And he said, "Jimi Hendrix." I mean, so many people say that. I mean, let's face it, he was kind of so far ahead of his time that his music still sounds pretty fresh today. A lot of it. I was at a Jimi Hendrix convention in 1984, and there were all these families that had come. I mean, it was the first time I think Al Hendrix had been out of America, so he was a special guest that nobody knew was coming. But I remember this family, these maybe 30-year-old parents and a little boy is about 8 or 10 or something. And I asked them, what made you come here? You know, and they said, oh, it was him. He dragged us here, their 10-year-old son. So I said to him, look, what is it? I mean, you know, you were born after Jimi Hendrix died. Well, what is it about Jimi Hendrix? And the only way he could describe it was say, it's the sound.
Yeah.
And that's pretty good, really, when you think about it.
Yeah.
Because that's exactly what that sound does something to you.
It really does. earlier today, when I was posting a bunch of stuff about our interview today, tonight on Instagram, I had posted an Instagram story, and I always put music to my Instagram stories that kind of fit the niche. Well, obviously, I put Jimi Hendrix as as the background music for our for our Instagram story, and I used Purple Haze, and I haven't heard Purple Haze in a long time, and just hearing that little clip, that 15-second clip that Instagram uses.
Yeah.
Made me say, "Oh my God!" And I went back, and for the last hour and a half, before this interview, I've just been rocking out to some Hendrix. And it's amazing how the stuff that he was doing back then in the '60s, translates to today more than anybody else. I mean, not even Sabbath was making noises and sounds like he was. Yeah. And, they were considered pioneers of that. But if it wasn't for Hendrix, I don't think we would even have that.
Well, I don't know if that's true, but
well, I mean, that's just my opinion as a 39-year-old who's been, yeah.
I mean, I think music evolves of its own, but I mean, his fingers stretch everywhere. I mean, in music today, I mean, I hear so many DJs who are sampling and using bits of Jimmy, and you think, they've done their homework. But I mean, it's. I interviewed Carlos Santana about Jimmy some years back, and he was very, very interesting. I mean, he's always brilliant.
Yes.
And perceptive about everything. That guy. I mean, he just finds the right words. But he said, they used to play in Vietnam. They used to play Hendrix and him and Bob Marley all the time, because it was what gave them courage, even in the depths of hell. And I think it's something about his music that does, it brings the sunshine into your life.
Yeah.
It's like the cosmos and the microcosmos, it conducting the powers of the universe. It's life-giving music.
Oh, absolutely. And the irony is that his life-giving music took his life away. Yeah. So everyone's heard, and I'm sure if you're involved in the music business in any which way, shape, or form, or enjoy music in any which way, shape, or form, I'm not talking directly to you, I'm just talking to the audience. Everyone has somewhat heard of the curse of the 27-year-olds, where if you've reached once you reach 27, if you aren't going to be able to do anything else with your life, and you've reached your pinnacle peak, that's the moment you die because of some blues. I can't remember the guy's name from the 1920s who sold his soul to the devil, and now it continues on to this day. Yeah. Thank you.
Who died at 27?
Yeah, he died at 27. Correct. I couldn't remember his name. Thank you.
27 Club.
So with that question, do you believe that he had reached his peak when he had passed, or do you think that he could have created more?
I think he could have created a lot more. I mean, I think it's a sad loss to all of us that he died. I think he was just beginning to emerge from the dark year of 69 to 70, which was a bad time for him. He was in a dark place. I think he was beginning to emerge. Yeah, I believe he would have gone on to. I believe he'd gone on to create a kind of a new form of classical music. I'm that ambitious about him, because he was playing around with the idea of an orchestra, big sounds. I know other people tried. Clapton tried it by playing with the London Symphony Orchestra. But if Jimmy had done it, it would have been something completely different. It would have been some new form of music. He was always reaching. He was never happy. He always wanted to do something a bit more. He wanted to challenge all the time. Challenge himself, challenge the music, challenge the bounds of music. He talked a lot about traveling around with this big dome, which would have music and sound and plays and all kinds of things all mixed together, so it would be a total experience. I mean, he had these wild dreams of things he could do, and I don't know if he'd have achieved all that, but he certainly would have changed music, and he would have given us something quite extraordinary, I think.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. I mean, yeah, and that's why I don't believe that curse is real. I just think it's coincidental. I mean, because we lost Joplin that way, and we've lost a lot of others that way as well. Kurt Cobain.
Yeah.
But I think in the depths of those people, we've inspired more people to pursue music. If Cobain didn't pass away at 27 in 93 or 94, whatever year it was, we would have never been given, in my opinion, one of the greatest rock bands known to man in the Foo Fighters.
Right.
All these other people that were inspired by Hendrix or Joplin or, so on and so forth. So I believe that their deaths inspired new generations. So even though that they passed on, their memory lives on today inside of the Foo Fighters and so on and so forth.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, it's a pity they had to die for that to happen, but
yeah,
maybe that's just the way things are.
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah. I mean, that's the way. Yeah, unfortunately, that's just the way it is. So 30 years go by ish, and then the book comes out.
Yeah.
So what inspired the book?
Well, I was working with Alan Douglas of the Hendrix estate, doing videos for them, picking out the best Hendrix film performances and making a video of that, tracing the story of the blues from Muddy Waters to Jimi Hendrix, this kind of thing. And you it came to a point where I just felt that the drive to, explore Hendrix's heritage had kind of stopped, because we were getting the same stuff being churned out again and again and again. And so Alan and I had a head-banging session over this, and we thought, well, isn't it time to do the kind of the life story of Jimi, a proper documentary, not kind of a talking heads and what have you documentary, but Jimi's own story, how he saw himself and how he grew as both a musician and as a human being. So I started messing around with some with his songs. First of all, I started spending hours and hours listening to all his music, and I had access to this kind of treasure trove, like 900 hours of tapes that were sitting in the studio that had never been released of Jimi. Because anytime Jimi was anywhere, people turn on a recorder, even if he's jamming or tuning up, so there was all this material. And I started listening to that a lot and trying to work out different combinations. And it struck me that his songs really told his story. Mm-hmm. I mean, they were autobiographical in a sense. So I started putting them together in that way. And then I thought, well, I don't want, there's got to be some storyline here. But we can't have a narration. We can't have some guy coming on saying this, that, and the other. I wanted Jimi to narrate it himself. So we got a guy called Michael Fairchild, who was a kind of absolute treasure trove of Hendrix lore and an incredibly good researcher, to investigate every single interview, scrap of paper, anything where it could be shown that these were Jimi's words and they weren't being made up or anything. And he, bless him, he spent a year, and this was before the internet days, so he was having to go by bus and taxi and train to people and transcribe what they got on tape and what have you. And he started sending me all this stuff. And I was looking at it and thinking, he's actually told his story throughout all these interviews and these jottings and these poems and these, kind of the lyrics of the songs themselves. He's actually told his own story in his own words here. All I have to do is unpick it and put it tells the story. Because I mean, if my logic was, if Jimmy was doing this, he never set out to write an autobiography. But if he was, and he could only use the words he'd spoken or written while he was alive, how would he do it? So it gave me a kind of freedom to reassemble all this stuff, like a kind of pick it all to pieces, take it all into a linear form. And so I stopped working on the film, which we planned, and spent a year actually doing this and getting the book together, the draft of the book together. And so that's how the book emerged. It was Jimmy's story in his own words, you know. And then I went back onto the film and I used the book to narrate the film, so that we had a storyline, if you like. But that wasn't the point of the film. The point of the film was really the music. You know, that just kept your attention, the storyline and Jimmy's comments. And he was a very funny man. So, and he had this wonderful way of saying several things at once in one very simple sentence. I mean, a kind of poetic ability like Dylan has, you know.
Yeah.
I don't want to compare Dylan and Jimmy, except to say Jimmy was in awe of Dylan and his ability to write. You know, he said, people ask, where are the poets today? Well, there's the poet today, Bob Dylan. So he really admired Dylan's songs and the way he wrote them. And in fact, Dylan also admired Jimmy. I mean, I've got a lovely letter he wrote to Alan Douglas, which just says that, you know, Jimmy does his songs better than he can. He's the only person who can do his songs better than he can, like a Rolling Stone or All Along the Watchtower, which is, you know, everyone knows is the best version.
Yeah.
So really, the film is more exploring the music, but with the background of Jimmy's story and where he was in life at that time. I mean, he did say, my music is my diary. So I'm not working out of nothing there. I'm actually following his instructions when I made the film to make the music, the substance of the film. And also you know, there've been a lot of documentaries about Hendrix. And as I said before, a lot of it's talking heads, other people giving their opinions. And I didn't want that in this film. I just wanted Jimmy's own personal inner voice talking. But also, you know, the fact is 2/3 of Jimmy's repertoire, he never performed on stage. And people today know Jimmy from the videos. So they know his performance. They know how outrageous his performances are, etc., etc. But a lot of people today don't know the music. They don't know all the other music. And the 2/3 that was missing, I mean, yeah, they know Purple Haze maybe and Foxy Lady and Hey Joe. But think of all the later stuff. I mean, think of 1983, for instance, and things like that. So I wanted to bring this music in. I wanted to use the music that Jimmy didn't perform. And the only way I could do that, and it was integral to making the film, was to put it in the historical context. In other words, what was going on in the 60s in terms of the counterculture revolution, basically. So it kind of evolved in that way. So it's kind of a historical film in that sense as well. There's a lot of archive footage of the time in it, which I've used Jimmy's music to bring it out, if you like. You know, the civil rights movement and the anti-war movement and all these different things that were upsetting people in the 60s and which are upsetting people today.
Still, yeah.
Because we know nothing about any of those things, you know.
Yeah, I mean, the way people feel today, I don't think it's changed since the 60s as far as, you know, the protest movements and, you know, Black Lives Matter or the wars, or, I mean, it's still the same. I mean, the times have changed, technology's evolved, but our opinions, I feel, are still very, very similar. And that's why I believe he was ahead of his time, you know, and a lot of his music still, you know, exists today in the way that it does is because it's the message is still the same.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a message we all need today. You know, it's
Yeah.
a message of love that we all need.
Yeah.
I'd go so far as to say, you know, we've come a cycle from the 60s to now, in which all those things that were created, the counterculture revolution, all those things which Woodstock stood for, are even worse today than they were then, because we did nothing about any of them. We've still got wars. We've still got, you know, systemic racism. We've still got poverty. We've still got, I mean, what is it now? 80 million and counting refugees roaming the world with no home. People deprived of their homelands, deprived of their culture, deprived of their spirit, really. So I think it's a lot worse now than it was. I think we've reached a critical point, in fact, which is why I want this film to come out now, because it so much talks about that. And the message of Jimmy was always that, you know, we can work this out if we work together.
Oh, absolutely. I believe that wholeheartedly, and I do believe that you're right on that this movie does need to come out now. If that's the message that you're saying, then I wholeheartedly agree with you on that. So I think you touched on this a little bit, but I kind of want to dive into a little bit more. There has been a bunch of, like you said, there's been a bunch of Hendrix documentaries.
Yeah.
What separates yours from everybody else's?
I think it's the only one that really gets inside the head of Jimi Hendrix. In other words, you are carried by him. You see the world through his eyes. You understand where he was coming from, where he was getting his music from, how that developed him as a human being, because that's important. I mean, you know, he, in the four short years he was famous, he aged 50 years. You can see it in his face.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I don't just mean the hardships of being on the road. I mean the experience he was going through, because he always felt that it was his kind of, that he was a messenger of some sort, that he owed it to people to experience these things and to tell them what he was experiencing and to try and give solutions to these things. Because, you know, it's easy to protest, but it ain't so easy to find a solution, is it?
No. Otherwise, we would have one.
Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, if it was that simple, we would have one, but it's not.
It's not.
Yeah, I mean, the stuff that's going, the stuff. Say again.
Life has to be lived, and we all have to find our own inner self.
Yeah.
I think what Jimmy tried to do was to bring that, give you his music. What his music tried to do, I think, was to make you find your own inner self, your true self. He talked about it like, I mean, that's that famous poem or that song as well, Room Full of Mirrors. You know, I used to live in a room full of mirrors. All I could see was me. So I took my spirit and I smashed those mirrors. Now the whole world is here for me to see. That's a key to Jimmy, you know, breaking the mirrors of illusion, finding out who you really are and what you're really here to do, and believing in yourself that you can do that. I mean, you know, people need that now because they need to shut out all this noise that's going on, all this distraction that's going on in the world.
Yeah, I mean, especially the stuff that's going on over here in America. I mean, it's, I don't want to say it's embarrassing, but it is. You know, the stuff that, you know, that we're still dealing with, you know, the LGBTQ stuff, the Black Lives Matter stuff, the fact that, you know, our response to this virus is one of the worst in the entire world, but yet we're supposed to be the most technologically advanced country. You know, I mean, there's so much, for lack of a better word, there's so much bullshit going on in this country that, you know, I think we've lost that right to call ourselves a superpower, because we just don't have, our voices as Americans are not being heard.
Yeah.
And that's why, you know, music today is so powerful, because it gives us something to latch on to. Even stuff, again, that was written 50 years ago, by a man who died 50 years ago still has that much importance to us, because obviously our voices aren't even being heard from that long ago. And it's still, like you said, it's gotten worse because it hasn't gotten any better. And that's sad.
Yeah, but that was the essential message of Woodstock. Jimmy said about Woodstock, kids, if parents want to love their kids, they should listen to their music. The kids listen to us quicker than they listen to what the president says, because they believe us. And music was the message in the 60s. I mean, that's why the 60s was such an important decade for music, because the music was the message.
Yeah.
We got to get back to that, I think. Something's got to get the message out there. Music certainly is a medium that can do that, because it's a universal language.
It really is. It's definitely a universal language. Doesn't matter what style of music it is, it's universal. When you were writing the book or getting prepared for the movie or vice versa, was there anything that you learned that you didn't know before that kind of shocked you?
What about Hendrix?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, there were certain things that happened that I did find shocking. In a sense, I didn't really understand, because I knew him early days, and after 68, 69, I wasn't even on the same continent. I was in South America and other places. So I kind of lost contact with what was going on here. But I think what really kind of upset me is the way Jimmy was treated by those closest to him, with few exceptions, and how he was abandoned by people and left to fend for himself so much. He was a guy who really needed a guardian angel, a friend who was a guardian angel to look after him. I mean, I think other people have said that. Taj Mahal, I remember saying about Jimmy, he really needs somebody to confide in, who he can pour his heart out to, and he doesn't seem to trust anybody to do that. So that kind of shocked me in a way. And some of the things that Jimmy got up to, getting blind drunk and smashing hotel rooms and things like that, I kind of understand that, not because it was a rock and roll thing to do, but because he was very frustrated by it.
Yeah, absolutely. Just by judging by what you're saying, I can definitely feel the frustration in him through you. Yeah. So what took it 20 some years to get this movie finally made?
Well, that's the bad luck part, I guess, with timing. Because when I started this whole project, it was with the Hendrix estate, which Alan Douglas was the product manager for at the time, through his company, IU Experience Limited. And we were doing this film as a project that was closely tied to the estate. Therefore, I had access to all the Hendrix footage. In fact, I helped Alan locate and track down and buy in footage that they hadn't got at that time. So I helped him build up his library of stuff. So that was good, that was working out fine. And then, mid-90s, the whole shit hit the fan with the court case, and the Hendrix family won the court case, not in court, but out of court. And we were kind of left out in the cold, really, because they did not want this film to go ahead, because it wasn't the image of Jimmy they wanted to portray. They didn't want Jimmy, the rebel Jimmy. They wanted the all-American boy Jimmy, who didn't take drugs, who didn't womanize, didn't. So, well, I mean, you'd have to ask them, but they didn't want this film at all. They also hated Alan Douglas by this time and wouldn't even talk to him. So we kind of left out in the cold, and we tried every way for the next 10 years to get them to change their minds. and allow this film and the book to be finished. And because the film was in a rough cut then, and the book was kind of finished virtually. So it could have been released straight away. And we thought, in our naivety, that they'd be pleased to have a product they could launch straight away. It turned out not to be the case. So it wasn't until 2010, I think, that we brought a case against them in the courts. And after 2 years in the court, we won the case, and the court awarded us the film and the book back, plus completely free usage of all Hendrix estate material.
Wow.
Otherwise, we couldn't make the film. I mean, if we had to pay for it,
Yeah,
it would have blown what was already getting to be a fairly large budget. So,
yeah.
so it was only through that court case that we won it back, and we have the right to finish the film, release the film. The book, of course, was released almost straight away in 2013, I think, straight after we won the case, as soon as we could get it together. And the film was then, because the book was easy because it was already there. The film still needed a lot of work, so we started again on the film, and then unfortunately, Alan Douglas died in 2014.
Mm-hmm.
So I was kind of left out again, and people tried to steal the film at that point. I was fighting his estate and all kinds of other people who appeared out of nowhere. Everyone saw Hendrix dollars, but I've never thought of it that way, because to me, there isn't real money to be made out of music films. You do it for the love of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you hope you can put food on the table and keep your roof over your head, but as far as making mega fortunes, you don't do that through making music films. It's never really been the case. You can, even with the most successful music films. So that wasn't the point. But everyone else seemed to think it was a gold mine. I think that was the words I heard. It's a gold mine. No, it's not a gold mine. It's and also people wanted to change what we were doing, what I was doing, and I was keeping faithful to the original vision of the film. And everybody wanted to change it and do different things. And I said, listen, no, out of respect for Alan's and my dreams and why we started this film, there's going to be no compromise over that. And if you don't want to compromise, you create a whole load of hardship for yourself, because there's always people who say, oh yeah, we'll finance it, we'll do this, as long as you change the ending or you do that. And I just turned everyone down. I said, no, we're going to do this the way it was meant to be, or not at all. So it's been a kind of real slog in that sense. And we've got to a point now where I'm happy with the film. I mean, it's a time machine, the film. I mean, it really is something from the 1990s. But that's okay, I don't mind that.
Yeah.
I mean, if it had come out in the 1990s, it would have been totally new in the sense of a self-narrated documentary. But of course, everybody's done it since then. Marlon Brando, etc., etc. But that was the idea, and that I'm sticking to that. And it might be being a bit of a time warp, but I live with that. I don't want to change it in that sense.
As you shouldn't. I
don't want to modernize it, as people keep saying.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm.
If a big budget, movie company such as like Universal or MGM or something like that came to you and said, hey, we want you to make a Jimi Hendrix version of Bohemian Rhapsody or Rocket Man. A, would you do it? Number one. But then number two, who would you cast as Jimmy?
I wouldn't do it.
No.
I say for one very good reason. I really find biopics hard to take, and especially if you knew the person and they've not been dead that long, or if you knew them, it's not that person. These are words being put in their mouth. I'm not a great fan of biopics in that sense. That's why when Alan and I started this project, there was talk of a biopic. There's always been talk of a biopic. Who was it? Oliver Stone, was it? Who wanted to do a biopic. I remember there was a dinner somewhere in Hollywood, lunch meeting. And it turns out this guy just is into drugs, sex, and rock and roll. And no, Alan put his foot down and said, no, Jimi Hendrix is about music. You're missing the point.
Yeah.
And he went off and made the, the, what's his name film? I can't remember his name.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think that's the key. The key there is that we decided this should be authentic Jimi. Nobody can play Jimi. I mean, I've seen a few people try, and really they get it so wrong. If you know the person, you know they got it wrong.
Yeah.
And you just think of the words they're saying. You think Jimi would never have said that. It's hard. It's hard, but I don't see any point in doing that, really. I think the way we've done it is more authentic, shall I say? And it's really about Jimi and getting inside his head. You know, writing a script for I shall thought.
I got you. So you say you're not really a big fan of those biopics. Did you not like Bohemian Rhapsody or Rocket Man or anything like that? Do you not think it did them justice?
I don't know the kind of, yeah, I mean, I don't know Elton John. So Bohemian Rhapsody, I didn't know Queen. I was never hugely a fan of Queen anyway, or of Elton John for that matter. So I to be honest, I have no opinion about it whatsoever. You know, okay. Fans have their say, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, as far as a movie goes, I believe Bohemian Rhapsody was a fantastic movie.
Right.
I mean, I am a huge fan of Queen. Right. And I've studied everything Queen. So I know all the discrepancies in the movie, and I know what's real and what was, fictionalized. Right. But so if you take all that out, the movie by itself was fantastic. Right. Rocket Man, on the other hand, it was too much of a musical for me. And I know Elton John had his hand in that a lot, but at the same time, it wasn't my thing. But I learned a lot from him about him because of it. But at the same time, I didn't really like that one. But Bohemian Rhapsody for me was definitely a good movie. But as far as telling the story of the whole thing about, Queen, they got a lot of it wrong. But at the same time, it was still a good story.
Right.
So your movie comes out in September.
Well, we're doing a live event in September.
Okay.
Which is really, I'm showing extracts from the film then. Okay. Which is really about the correlation between the 60s and today. And we're going to be, I'm going to be involving some guests who are going to be talking about those subjects. Why are we still talking about war when war is totally outdated? Why are we still talking about racial discrimination in this day and age? Why are we still not dealing with the environmental crisis that's on us? I mean, beyond all these rights and civil liberties and war and poverty and all the shit that's going down, we're burning the planet we live on. We're destroying it. And Jimi was a great advocate for warning us about climate change. I mean, many of his things, he even predicted 30 years from now, we're all going to be, and why are we doing this? Why are we doing this to our home? It's almost been forgotten because of all the stuff that's going on now, which is equally important. but it's not actually as fundamental as, you know, all these things will become irrelevant if we destroy the planet.
Yeah.
And we're getting to a point where we are. I mean, you know, it's getting bad.
It really is. So, when do you plan on actually releasing the movie then?
Shortly afterwards.
With the pandemic going on still, how are you going to release it, or what's the plan for it?
Well, the plan is to do a kind of limited special cinema release within however many cinemas we think it can handle, which people will be able to book, but also to release it as a digital download to people so they can have their own copy. Oh, we want to go direct to the people. I really don't like the way the film industry is collared by, you know, so many few small big companies. It really doesn't encourage the independent or the growth of new talent in the film business. So we're going to try a different method. We're going to try and do it ourselves.
Yeah, I mean, the movie industry is controlled by two people right now, and that's Disney and Comcast.
Yeah,
they own it all.
Yeah.
And that's unfortunate. AT&T, Time Warner, they're still kind of there, but at the same time, nowhere near as big as Comcast and Disney, what they've done.
Right.
But so I definitely agree with you on that. And unfortunately we have to live in that kind of society. And hopefully there's be a handful of, you know, good filmmakers that make the independent films that eventually just step up and say enough is enough. Because it needs to happen.
Do you know, I see so many great independent films that never get out there. And I'm thinking they're better than most of the stuff that's on Netflix or whatever, you know, and they never see the light of day, and this is not right, you know.
Yeah.
It's because it's depriving people of that culture, which are, you know, most independents make films they're passionate about. It's not for the bucks.
Yeah. Definitely. I wholeheartedly agree with you on that. I mean, on this show alone, I've talked to a handful of directors that are independent, you know, film directors, and you know, they've said the exact same thing. It's not about the money; it's about getting that story told. Whether it's a fictional story or if it's based on a true story, it's about the story. And as long as they can make the story, they're happy with whatever they can get. And I firmly believe that.
Yeah, well, we're the poor cousins, but you know, I don't mind being the poor cousin because it gives me my freedom and independence. And you know, you were asking earlier if a big company came along and said, "Here's X million dollars to make a biopic about Jimi Hendrix," I'd say, "I'm not wasting my time. My time's too valuable. I've got too many things I want to do that I think are valuable."
So let me ask you this then. If, you know, Comcast, Warner Brothers, or Disney came to you and said, "Hey, we want to buy the rights to the book and make our own biopic," would you sell it?
I have to think about that one, because money's money. Yeah, I might say, okay, as long as I can contractually have say over the script. I don't know, fantasizing here.
Well, I mean, of course, it's a fantasy. But at the same time, you never know. I mean, so you wouldn't make it, but you'd be up for at least consulting on a movie like that.
Yeah.
For the right amount of money. Because money is money, exactly. Yeah.
Money is money, and you all need money.
Yeah. I mean, and a story like that, a movie like that would probably be, you know, probably set you and your family up for life. So, I mean, yeah. I mean, I understand that.
Think about the other things I could do.
All right, if I get this, what other movies can I make on my own?
There's a lot of filmmakers who kind of do the ragtag stuff to make money so they can make their own films. You know, I mean, that's not an unknown situation in the film business. Those have ideas. I mean, You know, I mean, John Borman, I think, is one of those who does stuff. I know other directors who make commercials so they can make, because you can make more.
Yeah,
In
definitely.
fact, they have higher budgets per second of screen time. It's pretty ludicrous.
So let me tell you what, this has been a fantastic conversation. I have been looking forward to this all week long, and I am just, I cannot wait to see this. As soon as it comes out, I'm definitely going to be one of the first to download it, and, I'll be all about it. I am excited by it. You are definitely an inspiration to a lot of independent filmmakers on how to conduct yourself in the world. So I commend you on that. And, it's been a pleasure speaking with you tonight.
Well, it's been a pleasure speaking to you. So thank you. Thank you for having me.
Oh, again, definitely my pleasure. But as soon as I get the date for the release, I'll definitely promote it on the show, and I'll put out the links and stuff like that. And I'll definitely be one of the first to buy it.
Yeah, I'll hold you to that.
Oh, absolutely. Me being still an independent, TV show host or podcast host or internet web series host, whatever I am, I don't even know what my show is anymore. Yeah. It's a little bit of everything. I just know that I get watched / downloaded 100,000 times a week. That's all I know.
Yeah.
However people get my content is up to them, but I just put it out there.
Entertaining, so I say that to you.
Exactly. I try to be as entertaining as possible.
You have the right approach, the right attitude. It's freewheeling. It's whatever you pick up on. It's great,
Yeah. And I don't do with one type of guest. I deal with many different types of guests. I never say no to a guest because my opinion is everybody has a story to tell. Just because I got an email from Jimmy or Eileen, or if I got an email from my PR rep or whatever the case might be saying, hey, interview this person, and I'm like, who the fuck is this? I don't ever say no. It's okay, well, let me find out more about this person, and then oh yeah, absolutely, they have a story to tell. I don't care. It's about that, and I love telling the stories that I tell, and I'm glad that you get to tell the stories that you tell because they're important to everybody.
Yeah, well, I think everybody has a story to tell, as you say.
Mm-hmm. And I can't wait to see the story that you tell about Jimmy.
Right. Well, we'll certainly we'll certainly fulfill that.
I appreciate that. But yeah, as soon as I get that date, like I said, I'll definitely take care of the promotional end on my end as much as I can.
Yeah. Good. Okay.
Well, get some sleep. I know it's like 2:00 in the morning over there.
Just you need time to get up.
But again, I appreciate you taking your time out of your morning to talk to me, and I hope to talk to you again soon.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. You're very welcome. You have a wonderful evening now.
You too.
All right. Bye-bye now.
Okay.
Yeah, right. Bye-bye now.
Okay. Bye for now then.
Yes, sir. Oh, what a great individual that guy is. Oh, what a great individual. Wow. We'll sum that up when we come back from our commercial break. Guys, ever wonder how I get this manly beard looking so good? It's all because of Viking Revolution. And at Viking Revolution, not only can you get some great beard balms, but you can also get some great beard oils, as well as some awesome quick shower pads, which helps prevent you stanking up after the gym. Also, these great wet wipes, which help prevent, stanky after going doo-doo. And also some pomades and some other great products, all at Viking Revolution. So do yourself a favor, go to dckproductions.com/sponsors, click on the banner, and get yourself some of these great products. Viking Revolution. Join the revolution. Guys, have you ever wondered how you can help support the channel and also look fucking cool in the process? Go to the link down below, www.dckproductions.com/shop, to get the awesomest merch on the market today. Whether you just want to get one of our plain logos in one of our many different colors, or if you want to get one of our cool graphic tees that just are funny as hell, the choice is yours. But definitely pick up your choice of any one of these shirts in any color, any size, any style that you choose at www.dckproductions.com/shop or click the link in the bio. Thank you, guys. All right, and we're back. God, what a great gentleman that guy was. First off, for staying awake, until 1 o'clock in the morning on his time, and then doing an interview with me, and staying awake for another hour and 5 minutes or whatever that was, talking about, his passion, which is Hendrix. It's amazing. I learned a lot from that man just now, and I hope you did too. Because a lot of stuff that he was saying, definitely applies to what is going on in our lives today. Again, whether it's Black Lives Matter, whether it's anti-war, whether it's, LGBTQ rights, whatever the case might be, it's, Hendrix was definitely ahead of his time, and we still can experience that. Because he kept saying the word experience a lot, if you didn't notice that. Because Hendrix was an experience. Going to see him or listening to his music, even today, pulling up on Spotify or Google Play or Amazon Music, whatever your music source you use, listening to that music, is definitely an experience. And I think it's an experience that we all need to have because it's just so phenomenal. It has lasted 50 plus years. And it's still as relevant as it was then as it is now. And he said it right. He said it's gotten worse, and it has gotten worse. And it has gotten worse in the sense that it hasn't gotten any better. It really hasn't, and that's sad. That's really, 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 really sad. So let's move on today. The couple different things. Number one, I talked about this last night a little bit with Mr. Norwood Fisher, and the fact that Mr. Kane, former presidential candidate, owner of Godfather's Pizza, I think it was, passed away the other day due to COVID-related symptoms or issues. Herman Cain, that was his name. Trump came out either yesterday or today in a press conference, and I said it again, and it's pissing me off, and I know it's pissing off a lot of other people, but he said, passed away due to the China virus. Mr. President, I'm sorry to say, but at this point, it's the Trump virus. The actions that you have taken, the actions our government in America has taken, has made this fucking worse. Whether it's, talking shit about wearing masks, or whether they do or don't work, or saying this works or that works, don't do this or do this, and we've got to open up schools, or we're going to defund schools, or we're going to do this, or we're going to do that. Motherfucker, listen up. It is the actions of our government that has continued this fucking problem. Whether it's Florida, whether it's California, whether it's New York, whatever the case might be, things are not getting better. They're getting worse by the day. And all we hear is, well, we've got to reopen. We've got to reopen. We've got to reopen. What's happening? People are getting sick. People are dying. We have one of the worst responses to this fucking virus on the planet. Period. I didn't say the worst. I said one of the worst. And you can say whatever you want. oh, Taiwan is, small. We can't follow in their footsteps. Why not? Why? Because they have less people than us? Okay, so take what they did on a small scale and blow it up to a bigger scale. How fucking hard is that? That's math. No, we can't do that because we're America. We can't do what other countries do because they aren't as good as us. Air quotes. For those who can't fucking see me at home. Other countries are laughing at our response to this. Other countries are embarrassed that they even have to be associated with us because of what we are doing here in this country right now as a whole, whether it be coronavirus, Black Lives Matter, LGBTQ rights, whatever the case might be. The rest of the world is looking at us like we're pieces of shit because we don't care enough about our own fucking people to actually make a change. They care more our people above us, the people that we've put in office, supposedly, care more about their pocketbooks and care about the economy than the actual people themselves. Well, guess what? If our fucking people die off, then the economy is going to struggle anyway. But no, he still has the audacity to call it the fucking China virus, even though this dude potentially, there's no way to confirm or deny it, but potentially got the virus at a Trump rally. This guy was seen 2 weeks prior. The math adds up. Again, this is just me throwing out conspiracy theories and quoting other articles that have been said about this. As I didn't come up with this out of thin air. This other things that I have read. Roughly 2 weeks after he attended this Trump rally without a mask and clearly not social distancing is when he got diagnosed. A month later, he passes away. So potentially, theoretically, almost positively, this guy got corona at a Trump rally, and this motherfucker has the audacity. I hope that the Secret Service is listening to me right now because, yes, I am fucking 45 minutes away from your fucking building. I hope that he understands what I'm saying if this gets back there at all. It's because of you that our people are dying. Bottom line, the reason why Florida is having record fucking cases and record deaths is because fucking the governor there, DeSantis, is in your fucking back pocket and he does everything that you fucking want him to do because Mar-a-Lago is in fucking Florida. So that's where you fucking vacation. So you want to make sure you have access to your vacation spots and do what you want to do on vacation. Whether it's fucking play golf with Tom Brady or just sit fucking poolside at your goddamn mansion. Time for change is now. Sick of fucking talking about this. God damn it. When are we going to step up and actually do something about this? Guess what? It should be November. But even then, he's trying to fucking postpone the goddamn election because he knows he's going to fucking lose. He's just trying to stay in power and fuck up this country even more than he already has. But we can't let that happen either. Vote this guy out. God damn it. Just get rid of him. Be done with him. And I hope that when he gets out, all those fucking tax breaks that he made for businesses and all these things that he did in his favor, therefore, when he got out, he could fucking profit off of Trump Industries, get overturned, and then he goes fucking bankrupt again. That's just my piece. I am not blue. I'm not red either, obviously. I'm dead fucking center. But all I know is that Trump is a piece of shit. I don't think Biden is the best person for the job. So But at the same time, I think he's smart enough to pick a running mate that is the best person for the job. And I think that's going to be the key to him winning the election. So we're not voting for Biden in the election. No, we're going to be voting for his running mate. It might be Kamala Harris. It might be somebody else. All I know is that he needs to pick the running mate that the country deserves in order to give us the country we deserve. All right. My little rant's over. I'm done with that. So, who wants to laugh? Guess what time it is? It's Crazy Bitch of the Week. And of course, we have another bitch Karen. I tried to look for a Kyle or a whatever they call Kevin or whatever they call them. I don't know, Chads. But I couldn't find a good one that had good structure in the voice to make sure you guys could hear it. I'll hopefully find one next week. There is one, but it's really, really short. It's only like 10 seconds. I didn't think that was good enough. So I'm not trying to pick on women. I'm just picking on Karens right now, but I will find a Chad that will be exemplify. And I will not change the name of the segment. No, because if a Chad is being a Chad or Kevin's being a Kevin or Kyle, whatever you want to call them, they're still being a bitch. So they'll still fall under the Crazy Bitch of the Week. So here's our Crazy Bitch of the Week. Again, this is brought to you by Karen's Gone Wild on Instagram. That's where I usually find him. Follow him. He's fucking hilarious. I'm not sure where this takes place, and whether it's inside of a Walmart or it's a grocery store. For some reason, I guess this lady decided not to wear a mask, but at the same time wants to make sure she's social distancing. So she's kicking everybody out of the aisle that, that's coming down the aisle there. And the things that she said is quite funny. So I'm setting that up. Therefore, people at home can understand it, or people that are listening in the car or whatever the case might be. But I'll also put a link in the description of the video. So here is the Crazy Bitch of the Week.
is wrong with people? Like, is that the way you think you're really going to get your message across? I don't understand what is happening. She doesn't want anybody on the aisle until she can get what she wants and leave the aisle. Jesus Christ! So she's rebuking everyone that enters the aisle.
What makes it even funnier is the fact that she keeps saying that, in the name of Jesus Christ, I cast you out of this aisle. I cast you into the lake of fire. Oh my God. Why? God, why? When I go to Walmart, do I not catch these bitches or men or whatever? I already said it. I'll just say it bitches because it's men or female at this point. Oh, these bitches in action. I want to catch a Karen. I literally have my finger on the record button as I walk through the fucking Walmart or anywhere else with my wife these days. I always say, I don't care about the grocery shopping, babe. I'm fucking here for Karens. Or Chads or Kyles or Kevins or whatever. I don't care what you call them. Becky's, whatever. The point is, I'm on the hunt. And so should you. And if you catch one on the loose, please send it my way. All of my fucking social media links are here. at suckit_podcast on Twitter, at suckit podcast on Instagram, or at Derek Comedy on Instagram as well. If you catch somebody in action and with a good video, please send it my way, and I'll be more than happy to feature it here every Friday at 9 o'clock-ish. This is one of my favorite segments of the week. Crazy bitch Karen of the week, or crazy bitch Kevin or Chad or whatever. Either way, that was a good one. Last week's was pretty good too. The whole lady who was saying that she was run over by a car. She got hit by a car and the dude never even moved. That was pretty good too. This is fun. All right, so I think that's where I'm gonna leave it off here. I'll leave it with a nice little happy ending. Because everyone loves a good happy ending. Yeah, that's what she said. Or that's what he said. That's what he said. Yeah. But anyway, Monday. I don't know who my guest is yet. I'll have somebody. I think I know who it is, but I'm not going to confirm it because I don't have it confirmed yet. But I do have Tuesday and Thursday confirmed with musical guests. Tuesday is musical guest Jay Sun, rap artist. That's his, part of the summer concert series. Be performing live around 9 o'clock. And then Thursday, country superstar Josh Gallagher will be on around 9-ish o'clock doing the summer concert series as well. Next week is going to be superb. Again, just like this week, I want to thank all my musical guests, Harlan County Kings, Kings of the Wild Things, and Kimberly Dawn this week. All put on fantastic performances for you at home. Nobody else is bringing you free live music like I am. And I take a lot of pride in that. This show is unlike anything else on the internet today. And I hope and pray that you guys realize that. Nobody else interviews the people I interview. Nobody else brings on the guests that I interview. Nobody talks about the same stuff. And if they do, it's not all three on the exact same show. Yes, call me arrogant, call me cocky, whatever. But God damn it, I'm one of the best at what I do. And I take pride in that. But until Monday, 8 p.m. East, 8 p.m. East, 5 p.m. Pacific. I will catch you then. Please be on the lookout for any crazy Karens. Send them my way, or crazy Kevins or Chads. I'm all happy with whatever I get. But next week, another great time, another great performance, bunch of performances. And who knows what's going to happen. All I know is that great things are happening. Until Monday, y'all have a great fucking weekend. Stay safe for everybody down south. Make sure you're hunkered down. Make sure you do everything that you can to stay clear of this fucking hurricane. Just be safe. And until Monday, I love you guys. Peace.